William, your videographer from Two Hats Publishing. Welcome to the College of Complexes, being held at Barbeck's Restaurant at 8949 Garland Road, Dallas, Texas. Gently embracing the east side of White Rock Lake. When I entered, I was greeted like coming home to Grandma's house, warm and friendly. When visiting the Barbeck's Restaurant, tell them you want your reservations for the next College of Complex class.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the College of Complexes. This is the playground for people who think. We have a wonderful program for you tonight. I'll give you a little bit of history about the College of Complexes. Here in Dallas, it was established in February of 2009, so we've been going strong this is our 215th meeting. Nobody knows why meetings are numbered. It just, I guess, as a point of trivia. Tonight, we have a wonderful speaker, Reverend Rafael Seijo, who is a bishop, therapist, and spiritual healer. He'll be talking about giving to Cesar what belongs to God. If I was created free, why give up my right to choose? We also have several upcoming programs. It's really exciting. Tom's already filled the schedule all the way for a month forward. Meeting 216, Jim Davis is going to be talking about the letter that changed America. February 22nd, police brutality in Dallas. The politics and culture in the DA's and Dallas Police Department that breeds opposition. That's Paulette Flanagan, founder of Mothers Against Police Brutality. On March the 1st, we'll be visited by two blues brothers from the Windy City, Chicago, who are blowing in to give us some bluster and challenge our southern people, I guess. No, you can read it for yourself. March the 15th, restoring civility to our communities with Carol Donovan, a 30-plus year attorney and mediator who's also running for House District 107. So she'll be talking about restoring civility to our communities. Anyway, I want to just remind everybody that what our concept is here. This is a free speech forum, and so you're entitled to say whatever is on your mind when you are given the opportunity. So our program is for the speaker to come up here and speak on a controversial topic, and they're required to take a side on a position. We don't interrupt the speaker unless he's asking us to do so, okay? So we only listen to one fool at a time, and then after he's concluded his speech or his presentation, we'll invite questions from the audience. And we do say questions, not speeches, from the audience. So that's your opportunity to pick his brain or ask him to clarify a point. And then after the question and answer period is closed, then anybody who wants to, time permitting, can come up and speak at the microphone and give either remarks, rebuttals, what's on your mind. And we try to stay germane to the topic. Sometimes we get a little off track there, but it's sure to be a good topic tonight. We'll start that in just a little while, but first I'd like to ask if anyone has any announcements. Jim has an announcement. Come on out, Jim.
Well, I'll do my few standard words, and everybody here knows, so I'll keep them short. Thanks to Barbeck's for accommodating us and allowing us to come and meet here in the room. They don't charge us a meeting room fee, which is rare now in a lot of the eating establishments that we've used. So what we have promised to do is that we'll all spend at least $5 off the menu, and we don't care if you gorge out on dessert or have a plate or a sandwich or whatever. But buy some food and be generous with our server who comes in here and tries to take care of all of us at once, which you don't normally do in a restaurant, get this many people to send on you at one time. Sometimes.
But she's good.
Yes, she is good. We appreciate her. So tip her. Put some money on the blasted table. So I keep that in good humor and good spirits. But thank you so much. Only one other thing I will say is that I I called Tom a few minutes ago to see how they were doing and getting underway on the trip to Tucson, where they will arrive tomorrow. And they were catching a train down at Union Terminal, which goes over to Fort Worth, stops there, and heads down to San Antonio, and that's the end of the line. And they catch a train line, I forgot what it's called, that goes across the east-west coast direction. They're in San Antonio with a little layover, and then they rented a sleeper car accommodation tonight, so when they get tired they just go back and crawl in the bunk and let the train rumble on and make a peaceful sound in their background and probably get a good night's sleep. So it sounds like they're doing good. I think they were supposed to leave at 11:30, and they had just pulled out and hadn't made it to Fort Worth yet. So their train, which came down from Chicago through St. Louis, had probably been bumped off into a siding several times by a freight train, which has, in spite of Amtrak's position in the rail world, the freight trains have preeminence when it comes to the routes. They can bump you off. So that one was late. But since they have a bunk car, they should be doing fine. So he sounded happy and asked me to pass along greetings, and so they'll be back next week and be looking forward to seeing everybody. Thanks.
I also have an announcement. We have such a wonderful and exciting election coming up, the primary election. We've got great candidates in the Democratic primary. I'm not going to talk too much about the Republican primary because I don't know too, I just would prefer to stick with what I know. But the Big East, which is a collection of several Democratic clubs, all east of I-75 that runs north-south and out to the county line, the Big East is putting on a primary candidates forum. That will be held at Dunford Recreation Center in Mesquite. Many of us know that as the site of early voting, where early voting used to be held. That'll be next Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a 1 hour break for lunch at 2 o'clock. What this does is it gives you, the voter, an opportunity to see who is running in the primary contested races. There are a number of positions where the incumbent judge is being challenged by someone else who thinks that it's time for them to step up and try to become a judge. There are also it's an opportunity to shake hands and meet some of the other candidates. Maybe they're not being contested, but they'll be present at this forum. Anyway, there are quite a few contested races, and so we're not going to have every single race there, but you can look for our forum online. I will just give you the address quickly. It's 1015 Green Canyon Drive in Mesquite. That's off of Galloway, just north of Town East Boulevard, so very close to Town East Mall. And again, we'll have quite a few people. There will be a voter's guide to everybody who comes in to attend. And if you tend to vote Republican or in some other race, some other party, I encourage you to go meet those candidates too if you can find them. But please, if you're a Democrat, come and participate. This is a really excellent way to give people the sniff test before you go and cast your ballot in the primary election. Remember, early voting starts February the 18th. And if you're not already updated, you need to go early vote at any Dallas County location. Double check your registration and your Texas issued ID or appropriate photo ID to make sure that they match. Get that corrected if you have a problem. Do we have any other announcements?
North Texas Light Brigade is having an anti-surveillance protest this Monday at 8 p.m. in Louisville along the I-35 East corridor. It's in front of the Brahms there. I don't know the street address off the top of my head, but that's the landmark near where the group will assemble and have a light-up display calling for an end to to domestic spying, and it'll be about an hour.
Any other announcements? Okay, if we have no other announcements, I'd like to invite Bishop Rafael to please come forward and share with us your wisdom on this subject. Thank you.
Hi guys. Hello over there. Mira, look at him. He's going for the sauce right there. So you're getting sweetened, huh? That's good to see. So you're learning to live lively. All right, the last time that I was here was in the year 11 after Christ, and it was a very good night. It was fantastic. I was called an idiot, and that made me happy because there was someone that had the capacity to listen to an idiot. So if someone feels like that tonight, just stand up and say it, and you will make me very happy also. Thank you. I am a citizen of the United States, born in Puerto Rico. I am married. You don't hear me back there? A little louder. This one is better. All right. So I'm repeating myself again. I'm a U.S. citizen, born in Puerto Rico by law. And I'm married. 5 kids starting at 46 years old and ending at 18. And I am the Archbishop Primus for an online church that is called the Charismas Church. The Charismas Church, yes. And I am the director of Living Lively, the workshops, where we provide relief to the pain caused by emotions and relief to the emotions caused by pain. I have been meditating in all my years to what being a Christian is. And I reached the conclusion that it is not how much I sin, but how much I am able to love. That could have been louder. Thank you. You want me to lower this down? Okay. Now, that's better. Good for you? Good. So, and I believe that God's intention of creation was for us to really fall and raise, commit errors and learn from the errors, and also to really be us. So after reaching those conclusions, I have reached another one, and it is that the Christianity that we are supposed to live and to abide by, we are not doing it. And this situation that is happening in this United States of America, a nation that is supposed to be under God, a nation that cares very well for the people outside, but doesn't care that well for the people inside, has forgotten what love thy neighbor is. And I'm still more scared because still I don't hear loud voices speaking out more convincing or more determined to what really is going on. And one of the things that worries me most is that in the expression given to Cesar, I am not talking of the emperor, but of the abuses and the intolerance and the determination of people deciding for God what belongs to God and limiting what God is. Amazing. It's completely absurd, it's completely amazing. And this is because of seven beliefs or doctrines. And one of them is biblical literalism. It says ugly, so it is ugly. It says fat, it is fat. It is short, it is short. It cannot be anything else. It is also the substitution of atonement and other violent theories. In other words, if you sin, you die. If you're a sinner, you go to hell and you stay there forever. And I say, so why in the hell we call God love then for? If we are going to be in hell forever, that there is no chance. You're already under the torch, blowing up your rear, going out your head, and there you will be like a dragon forever. The other problem that I see is this religious exclusivism, that I am the one that is okay and all of you are wrong. So by that position, they're calling Jesus a liar. A what? A liar. Why? I say that because some guys went over to Jesus and said, hey, there's other people talking in your name. He said, let them. So all of a sudden this exclusivism, given the authority that they're the only ones that can really talk about Jesus. There is patriarchy and homophobia. There is belief-centered, dogmatic faith heavily reliant upon propositional argumentations and condemning those that have alternate views. So probably I'll go to hell tonight. Yeah. But they don't know that I am a bishop and I can absolve myself. In the name of the Father and the Son, I forgive myself. Yes. And this notion of eternal hell and damnation, an emphasis on the miraculous supernatural afterlife-oriented evangelism. So then I can address to the regions that is no accident that our southern states are referred as the Bible Belt. And this term is backed by studies that which in area in which Baptist denominations are predominant religious affiliation. And this region is dominated by 24 non-interlaced Protestant denominations. And the greatest audience for religious television. And I believe that the reason for this, most religious conservatives, with the highest degree that there is of fundamentalism, is because of one phenomenon. They had to read the Bible in literal terms in order to come up with a theology that condoned the practice of slavery. The Bible allows for slavery. Slavery here, slavery here, slavery there. And even Paul told slaves to obey their masters. But the funny thing is that when Paul was there, in his time, it was okay to have slavers. It was okay. But then our dear friends in our southern area, because of that necessity of capitalism and of control and of power that also was created at the beginning of our nation, with practically no ruling or guidance about it, have there also their 1%. And that 1% was in families holding slaves. And the only way that they could justify that was because the Bible says so. And a dear friend of mine here a little while ago was saying to me that all of a sudden the Bible becomes more important than God. And that is idolatry. And that is idolatry. So, but you say that we were born free, that we have choices. Well, let's take the story of Adam and Eve. That was the first declaration of choice right there. The first choice that there was Adam and Eve according to the myth. Don't eat of the book of knowledge. And then the famous serpent shows up and says, oh, you can be like God. And the people says, but they were with God. He said, yes, they were with God, but because they were with God, they didn't know that they could be like God. It is like myself. If I am in my mother's womb, I don't know that I can be myself until I am born. Meanwhile, I'll be my mother's fetus. With my other mother, the placenta, taking care of me. Yeah. Awaiting for someone to push or me kick out and get out there, take a breath, and start living. I am not denying that a life starts at conception. I am saying that I become a living human being when I breathe. When does the fish know that he's out of the water? When you fish him out, he goes blah, 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 blah. Floppy and says, send me back there, you know? When do you know that you need to breathe in order to be alive? When they put your hand in the water and hold you up down there. And why do medicine put people in respirators? Just those people, they put people in respirators so he can keep breathing. Why does the Hindu are able to urinate prana and understand that on the air we breathe, there is a gamma of food right there. So, the other thing is, and this I mentioned on the previous talk 2.5 years ago, we said that there is a spirit in the component also. There is a spirit in that component also. If it is true that we are what? Mind, body, and spirit? Then where does the spirit come from? Mom and Dad had a wonderful time. Either of love, either of pleasure, either of whatever. And here I am, and I am using verses that our friends used. And before you were born, I knew you, and I knew your name before you were in your mother's womb. And right there, you have the presence of a spirit that is going to be in a womb, or that is going to occupy a body. And St. Thomas of Aquin says that the spirit occupies the body at 40 days. The Buddhists say that when you pass, you have 40 days to occupy a body. The Islamic traditions put it a little bit further. It's about 6 months, more or less. And the professionals in regressions have discovered that there are spirits that say, oh no, I'm not going in there. I'm not going to belong to that family. And all of a sudden, a baby is born, and he passes away, and doctors do autopsies and do this and do many things, and they don't know why that little child passed away. So the positions of deciding in this nation under God of what you women can do with your bodies violates the chance of free will, violates even the opportunity of giving a spirit the decision either to stay or to take off, and violates the most basic principle. That is, if necessary, repentance. So, why all this? Because I should have started imagining that I am in Congress right now and you are my venerable representatives, and we invite Bishop Rafael to open up with prayer the session. And we carry our flag inside the churches. And we have allowed the concept of civil religiosity to substitute the true religions. And all of a sudden, our friends that decided, like most men do, instead of look for a solution, we have to fix this. Because women usually fix things. And if I have grown up in these denominations that are, of the tradition of Calvinism, that is, if you sin, you go to hell. And if you don't believe how I believe, you are condemned for eternity. And that salvation, it comes because the way we behave and not because how much we love. Then they have declared that they have the power, because they are under a nation that is under God, to really keep doing the same things they were doing with the slaves. Total control, and you belong to us. In God's name. That's limiting to what I have learned, and perhaps you also, what God is. A loving person, or entity, or energy, I don't care what you call it, or essence, or thought, or word. A caring, as the Master taught us in the New Testament. In the beautiful parable of the prodigal son, which I call the prodigal father. Father, I want the things that belong to me. He said, here, go for it. Take off. And he experimented. The son experimented life. And at that moment he understood that I did it the wrong way. I am broke. I am hungry. I am this, I am that. I have not honored my family. How in the hell I'm going to go back and talk to that? He's going to hit me in the butt very hard. There you go. And he goes back, and there is the father happy that the son is coming, that is back. And he said, I have offended you, I have failed. He said, no, you have learned. You have learned. Here is again everything that you need. And we can see the difference of being right beside the father all the time, like the older son, that all of a sudden he thought that he was the happy dandy in the neighborhood, and that he was going to be the one that was going to have all the benefits and everything, and that his father was giving to the brother that was ¿cómo se llama? Let me see, I'm traducing it my Spanglish way. Had gone and throw away everything and wasted, that's the word, everything that was given to him. How in the hell is going to do that? I cannot tolerate that. So he wanted to put a fight in there and everything. I said, you have been here with me always. And this one decided to go and learn and came back again. So I'm happy that he learned. So I'm restituting to him everything that belonged to him and everything that I have given, because I have been given to you all the time. And you have not realized that I have been doing that. So these friends south of the border, I mean north of the border, are still right beside the Father, complaining of the liberties that has been given to us, of the choices that has been given to us, and that they have had always, but they don't realize that they have them. Because instead of being the likeness and image, they have decided to become the Bible. And the Bible is inspired, but it should be understood according to the times, with respect and with reason. With respect and with reasoning. And understanding that each one of us, or any of the citizens of this country, any of the citizens of the other religions, are also in the same planet, created by the same God, and from the same Abrahamic roots or roots that were created: Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. And our friends from the Hindu and Buddhist traditions are older in spirituality than we are. So I believe that we should start looking that way also, to learn a little bit. To learn a little bit. Because they understand and they know that we are a spirit having a human experience.
Amen.
That we are spirits having this human experience to return again to the Father, either through resurrection or either through ascension. And that life, which is from the Spirit, not from my circulatory system, is always present. Is always present. Because if God is a thought, thoughts don't disappear. They are energy that stays in place always. And if because of a thought I was created, and the spirit that I use, that is using this body, decides to take off again, I'll be there. I don't know which floor. I know that I'm working hard, at least to be not that close to the basement. But I don't know, someplace in there. Why? Because I myself also have ups and downs. Because I have also experienced what an abortion is. Not that I was aborted, I'm here. The second woman I was married to decided to have an abortion and I almost killed her. But through that experience I learned something so beautiful. And the name of the kid was given to me, of the baby was given to me spiritually. And the name was supposed to be Andrew. And she decided in the name of family planning to have an abortion. The thing is that I married for the third time, and I have a daughter that her name is Andrea. You know, right? You remember. Her name is Andrea. And I have a son from that second marriage that I because I was in the medicine field, I knew about the rhythm. So we had the rhythm boy. We had a rhythm boy. But that boy was created in purpose, was not created out of love, was created out of revenge. And I have been afraid for many years of how that kid would come up. And now he's 24 years old. He's taller than myself, 6'4", heavy built, doing his master's degrees in New York. Good guy. But the funny thing is that Andrea and him, they don't see that frequently expressions, a tone of voice, jokes, way of walking are almost the same. So I deeply believe that that one that took off at that moment in that abortion decided to come in through my next marriage and give us the pleasure to be Andrea today. Give us the pleasure to have Andrea today. And I thank Andrea every day for her choosing me to be her father. Not me choosing her to be my daughter. Her to choose me and my wife to be her parents. Her for choosing us to give her direction and give her guidance, not imposition. Her for giving us the opportunity for her to be able to make her own choices. And are we going to surrender then our capacity to choose? Whether we consider in our limiting beliefs if it is wrong or good? Are we going to let men that don't understand perhaps what creation is? That don't perceive the harm that they're doing to the harmony and balance of this universe? Making a woman have a baby that perhaps she didn't ask for? Because now she has the capacity to love him once he's born. But what about the guilt that woman might have because maybe she was not that brave enough to really start screaming and yelling? What about the woman that was in the hospitals here in the news 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? That was in the respiratory system, she was brain dead. And all of a sudden, because of a law that we have tolerated, in the name of God, not understanding, and not even interesting ourselves into really find out how in the hell we are created. They make the suffering of the family to have that woman be there for I don't know how long, and who is going to pay for the bill? Is the state going to pay for the bill? Probably. Who? This is total ignorance. Total ignorance of not respecting even the choice of the dead woman, which was her choice. Poor Karkovian. He was put in jail because he was killing people. But they say, oh, but God said, you shall not kill. Well, first of all, it says, shall not kill. And number two, it was given to adults, and it was given to the Israelis because they were killing themselves. But if we look into the law, then all of a sudden we have all the plans. Okay, here we have, you can kill because of defense. Oh, yes. Here, you can kill because of wars. Oh, yes. No problem. That is in Leviticus. That is in the Bible. That is in Deuteronomy. That is right there. But I don't have the choice to decide for myself what the hell I'm going to do with me. But they can decide what I can do to you? Stand your ground. I'm standing my ground with myself if I decide that I am sick and tired of using a body that is hurting me and that is giving me the worst time of my life. And I am 70 years old, and that is enough that I have lived, and I just want to take off. Why in the hell I should live in misery? Karkovian, come over here. Put me a little bit of whatever. Life is sacred, yes. But morality belongs to the individuals and is not legislated. Morality is the choice that I have to how I interpret my life and how I was raised with it. And still, I have the opportunity to really even change my thinking. Because I have matured. Because I see life in a different way. Because if I still keep living with the same ideas of the past, then I am a 70-year-old kid, not a 70-year-old grown-up. So then I am a prisoner of the past, not a person living in the now, in the present, according to my realities. The positive affirmations of progressive Christianity, how it is called now, the ones that we think a little bit more, we are not literal, critical and yet spiritual approaches to biblical interpretations. We don't believe in non-violent atonement theologies like Christus Victor and moral influences. We believe in religious inclusivism or pluralism. The logo of the church that I preside has all symbols of all religions and all beliefs. Inclusion in matters of gender and sexual orientation. Again, it is not how much you sin, it's how much you love. We are action-centered, contemplative, reason-infused, yet mystery and paradox embracing faith. Afterlife teachings that do not include eternal torture. Emphasis on building God's kingdom in our lives and world in this lifetime, here and now. And I believe that the above is actually the authentic voice of what a good Christian tradition is. With progressives, something of a misnomer, although a necessary one in a climate when Christian thinking is often associated with the 7 deadly doctrines. You sin, you go to hell forever. We are right, you are wrong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, please?
I have a question. Excuse me just a second. We're going to get the microphone.
Oh, okay. Microphone. Microphone is on the way.
I'm going to remind
Whoop.
everyone that this is a time for questions, not speeches. Let's see.
Try it again.
Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. I like the idea, well, you said that you started with the theme of your preposition of a slavery in the Bible and how they read the Bible because of slavery. Do you think that maybe that goes even back further than just at that time?
Oh, yes.
From the very beginning of the United States?
Yes. Even goes down into Judea, into
Well, I
Israel.
meant here in the United States.
Oh, here in the US. Yes. Remember that this comes out of England.
Right. The great awakenings that have happened in the United States since the early beginnings.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
I asked this question of a previous speaker last summer. Do you think the wretched excesses of the movement you've been speaking about have driven a lot of people to atheism?
I cannot measure that, but I can say yes. This started in the 1980s, more or less in the 1980s. This fundamentalistic movement and heavy Pentecostalism and the fantastic miracles and everything, which I don't doubt that they happened. I don't doubt that. But the thing is that they have changed what God really is. So If I am all banged up because of my behavior and because of my emotions or because of my belief system or whatever, and here I have no chance, why should I believe in God? Why should I? If I'm going to be in misery one way or the other, anyhow, why should I believe in a God that people says that is a loving God, that is a caring God, that is a magnificent God, that is a provider, that is this, that is that? Yeah, I would become an atheist. Yeah, and fast.
And my other question is, are you familiar, after the anti-slavery war and after the slave owners lost and had their slaves taken away, this evangelical named Darby cherry-picked phrases from different parts of the Bible that confabulate a doomsday narrative, and then a generation later, Schofield came along and codified that into the Schofield Reference Bible. Are you familiar with that?
How many verses do you want against abortion, supposedly? How many? These are all the verses that are used to decide for God what a person should do or not do. But the one that I like the most, let me see if I find it. And the Lord, this is Genesis, huh? And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and a man became a living soul. So what is God breathing in us? Is the prana that the Hindu traditions speak about? Is it in that breath that we receive from creation brings what Paul calls the virtues? The capacity to love, the capacity to be emphatic, the capacity of kindness, the capacity of self-control, etc. That's the equipment we come with. But no, they say that that breath is not important. That breathing is not important, that life starts at conception. What starts at conception is a biological movement of cells and this and that to really start forming a person or a human that becomes a being after he breathes and after the spirit occupies the body. But we call it a baby because that is what we identify it after is born. So if it is a baby, then by logic I should have a baby here. It is like when the dog, she is going to have puppies. Come and touch the puppies. Oh, she's going to have a dog, a cat, she's going to have kitties. Let's come and touch the kitties. So all of a sudden she says, come on and touch my baby. And there I kick. And there is a baby here. And now with the new technologies and everything, come and listen to his breath. And they don't know that they're listening mommy's breath. Listen to his heart. Yeah, it's working. Fantastic. The biology has working very well, huh? Everybody's working in harmony, and here I am, ready to be born. But what happens? What is masturbation also? Yes, he's masturbating and licking his, sucking his finger. And he feels pain. Yeah, he feels pain. That's the new thing in the avenue. Pain. But they forget that he has no reasoning to understand what pain is. it is just a natural reaction of an electrical and nervous system that is getting ready to be out here in this environment. Yeah, I heard that on the radio. Oh, very emphatically. Pain, 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 pain. So we are a society in pain. Well, talk to Bishop Rafael then. I relieve the emotions caused by pain. Yes, sir.
Talking about what you were just saying, if the...
We're not going to hear you on the camera.
Okay. Who is feeling the pain? Is it the child inside the mother or the mother?
That's a very good question. Because if I use logic or reasoning, then when you pinch the mother, there is an electric movement that transmits all over the body, connected by the umbilical cord to the placenta, and I jump. Ting. But there is no notion of pain. You know of pain because you reason that you hit and banged yourself against the wall. And even at the moment of you hitting the wall, you don't know that there is pain. Because your brain shuts you off of feeling the moment of impact. Haven't you been cutting something with a piece of paper and all of a sudden you cut yourself very thin? And then a little while later you say, oh, I cut myself. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Are you satisfied with my answer?
Yes.
Thank you.
I would just add that if the fetus was taken out of the mother, I guess how pain works in a situation like that. I mean, you were saying, well, if it's the mother that's feeling the pain or the fetus, can the fetus exist outside without the mother?
Well, it all depends when he's born, when he's taken out, if he's able to breathe, and the lungs are developed correctly, yeah.
But not before that.
Not before that. Or they can put him on a respirator, the famous respirator again, and they keep pumping air in there until those lungs develop. There, he has one question.
What would you define as the true role of the church?
I love that one. Let you live. Let you live. Help you to become the person that you want to be. Provide the tools that are necessary for you to deal with your emotional aspect and all your doubts. And stop finger pointing. Why? Because every time that I do this, I got 3 fingers, Peter. Oh, that way. And sometimes it's that one also.
Another question. Churches get involved in charities. Do you believe they should be involved in political action?
They should be involved in proclaiming what I have been doing here tonight. And teaching their people to better listen to whom they are listening. And to get out of the box, of that constraining box that a pastor says, jump this way and there you go. Or jump the other way and there you go. No, the head was not designed just to carry hair. That head has something in here that when the caveman started developing his subconscious, he turned around and said, oh, someone is talking to me.
Another question.
Yes, sir.
Do you believe that the Christian Church, Protestant or Catholic, was it ever on the right track?
That's the problem the Pope has. And the Catholic Church decided to be a Paulist church, a follower of Paul. And I love Paul in some of the things that he says, especially his process of conversion and his own reality, but he had a lot of fantasies also. And I just don't believe in the poem that says that you're a sinner because you drink or have a few drinks and all of a sudden you're this and you're that and whatsoever. No, he decided to become the Moses of the New Testament with all the laws. Or morality, I should say. I praise him because of the virtues, of the fruits of the Spirit. That work of him in that direction is fantastic. And his expression, I still do the things that I don't want to do, but I still do them. And that's explaining right there humanity, who we are. We keep doing the things until we learn to do them another way. Or someone comes and helps us to understand that. That's what pastors should do. Help you understand.
So, you've spoken about Paul. What about the Protestant church going off track? What's your opinion of that? Well, again, it all depends who. Because you have the churches that believe that are followers of Calvino, of the Calvinism traditions, which are mostly Baptist and the Southern Belt churches. And then you have on the other side the followers of Wesley, which is Presbyterians, United Methodists, etc. And then the Catholic Church, well, she follows Paul in the name of Jesus. Yes. You had a sigh right there, like you wanted to speak or something. Or whether did he open his mouth too much? I don't know. I didn't understand.
I'll ask a question.
Yes, please.
Sorry, that's kind of loud. Do you believe that there's ever any hope that the United States will get back to practicing the Golden Rule and doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, without some kind of encouragement? And by that, I guess from my perspective, there seems to be such vitriol about, putting down those people whose circumstances cause them not to have opportunity. Putting them down instead of helping them to improve themselves by whatever means we can. So the Golden Rule, if you will.
Well, the thing is that we understand neighbor, the ones that think the same like us. And the one that has not succeeded is not the neighbor. He just chose to do that, so be it. And if we can help him to still further down, and if we have to bury him, we'll bury him upside down so he goes in the other direction and not up, so no resurrection. So it is that mentality of that law that we have created ourselves, that the least is the worst. But they forget, and we forget, that it's not the one that is sitting on the front bench. It's the one sitting in the back that is going to be first. We forget that.
The golden rule is he who has the gold makes the rules.
True. He who has the gold has the rules. Yes, makes the rules. Yes.
Yeah, another question. Do you believe that capitalism is compatible with Christianity?
In essence, yes. In essence, yes. In behavior, no.
Please explain the essence.
These are the beliefs. I'm just using this as an example. He's trying to read. This is the belief. This is what we believe, and if you don't live by it, out. So there is no compassion. There is no love thy neighbor. That.
In the tradition of the West, the Abrahamic tradition,
Yes,
all
sir.
of our scriptures, the Quran, the Old Testament, the New Testament,
Yes, sir.
or the Hebrew Bible, all are based on revelation, the direct word of God. Eastern religions, who have wonderful scriptures, don't believe that. They don't believe in revelation. Their revelations are human revelations, not divine revelations. Do you think there could ever be a time when Western religions, which probably been the bloodiest religions in history, could ever come to the point of saying, maybe our Bibles are the best we can do, but they're not absolutely word for word the mind of God?
We don't have to wait until that. That is happening now. That is happening now. I am a testament of that. So I use my reason, and I use the Eastern traditions to learn how to connect with spirit, which I am. And I believe that I have angels around me. And I believe that I have a higher self that helps me solve situations. You should see me solving things on computers that I don't know a shit about it. And I sit down and I ask, how do I solve this? And I just let it sit. I let it go. Maybe an hour later, maybe 2 days later, maybe a week later, maybe a month later, here it comes. Taka, 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 taka. Done. Done. So the Eastern traditions are a revelation themselves because they cultivate the spirit. And in order for us to cultivate the spirit, then we need of the revelations. And that's why I said a while ago that we should start looking and learning from them a little bit more. They are more ancient than we are as Christians. We can even start looking into the mysticism of the Jewish tradition. We can still keep looking into the mysticism of the Islamic tradition, which is the Sufis.
Let me bring to a finer point.
Yes, sir.
Suppose down the road, 50 years, 100 years, whatever, Muslims decide that the Christian revelation is compatible with the Quranic revelation, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that at some point they would give up the idea that they're the only way and there's no other way to God or to heaven except through their way, and that it could loosen up enough that they could find a compatibility.
But the thing is that we are doing the same thing to them. We are saying to them that we are the way.
That's why I said both.
Jesus is the way.
Both the Christian and the Muslim. Yeah.
Yeah. So
somebody has to.
You?
Yeah. somebody has to give up this idea that your revelation is the only absolute revelation, and then there can be no other revelation.
That is correct what you're saying, and I applaud you, and you make me proud of that. The thing is that how frequently do we approach a Muslim and say hello? How frequently we speak to a Mormon? Was John Smith wrong when he was talking about reincarnation? I don't know how many years ago. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Well, John asked a question that interests me a lot. Naturally, I have to poke a little bit in his ribs. The difference between, to me, free enterprise and capitalism is love of mankind and greed. Capitalism is basically capital driven. And free enterprise is a system that we started out with but have abandoned. Which one of these, now, of course, laid a predicate here, which one of these do you think is a more spiritual idea?
The one that is able to share. O sea, the one that is able to share, the little enterprise, the little guy that is having, and he wants to succeed, and he shares whatever he has with the employees and everything. The one that really cares for the highest good of the persons that are sharing his success with him. Those, they should start learning how to speak more. Besides the point. Yeah, those that share.
I want to get back to your to the question of abortion.
Yes.
And the fetus, etc. And I was curious if you're aware that there are some religious traditions that also believe that the spirit might not enter the body until after the child is born. And that in certain religions there's also the possibility for reincarnation, obviously, but the fact that a child, a fetus, a soul, whatever you want to call it, may actually need the experience of being aborted as something that they chose when they come in. Have you ever heard of this?
But I think
you have an opinion
I explained
about
that the first time I was here.
Yes.
And my own personal experience is with this woman that I married for the second time.
Right.
That she decided because of family planning, she wanted to experience what an abortion was.
Right.
And she went through it. She went through it. And that, and I am thankful for her action, which sounds ridiculous, right? But I am thankful for her action because that taught me how to forgive. And don't have any, although I still later I did my revenge act, creating the rhythm boy. and I have to confess that I lived so scared. I felt so guilty for so much time, long time. Yes, and yes, it can happen. So the spirit has the choice to live whenever he wants to. It is, I don't know when I'm going to die. Oh yes, you will know. You will know. And the thing is that because we are so material centered and not spiritually centered, we are afraid of dying. Because we have not exposed ourselves to what being a spirit is. But for me, dying is fantastic. Why do I say that? Besides the 2 knees and the elbow replaced, I also have my particular battery. So I have my pacemaker also. So who is going to help me get the $6 million, please? Let me finish that second. And my wife said to me, she's a registered nurse, and she said to me, you have scared me 2 times very badly. Yes, I know. And the first time I scared her, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was coming out of the bathroom, and all of a sudden I was turned off. Boop. Off. No pain, no anxiety, no nothing. Off. The next thing that I'm here is things falling. And then I hear her calling me, Rafi, Rafi, Rafi. And I said, I am here, but I don't know where. And I was laying in the floor, looking in the contrary direction from where I was coming from. The second time was years later, visiting a friend in his house. I am sitting in a stool, and I said to her, I feel like going and sitting in the reclining chair over there because I am not feeling that well. And she said, no, you're not going. Off. Completely off. So if that is dying, wow. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's great. No feeling, no nothing. Woo! Yes, sir.
I just want to say that I'm glad that you feel the way that I've heard somewhere that you know what they call the Catholics that practice the rhythm method. They're called parents.
Parents, yeah, they're called parents. Yes.
But my question was this: he was asking about the spirituality, and you've been talking a lot about the spirit. But in the Eastern tradition, you have really a different tradition in Buddhism that does not believe in spirit.
All right.
They don't believe that there is a self like we do in the West and some of the other Eastern spirit traditions. So how do you respond to Buddhism that says that there is no self?
Well, I just respect what they believe. If they feel comfortable with that, so be it. I cannot change that. It is not my obligation to change that. Yes, sir.
This is going to sound a little weird, but whoa, that's pretty strong. What religion do children have?
What religion?
What religion, and I have a reason for asking this, but what religion would you say that children have?
The children have?
Yeah. Are they Catholic? Are they Baptist? Are they Hindu? Or which religion?
They're everything. They're everything. They have the capacity to forgive. They have the capacity to laugh. They have the capacity to look at you very seriously and say, I don't like you. They have... Yes.
This is a thing that I spent many years going over and talking with many people about, and is, do children go to hell?
Well, we have to talk to who wrote the Divine Comedy? Dante. We have to talk to Dante because he was the one that invented the damn thing.
There's another thing with that too, because Jesus said at one time, if you don't become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Think about that for a second, and I think that has to do with something very profound, because everybody's thinking it's all about religion.
No, religion is about being. That's what it is. Religion is about being. And when he says that be like children, I just said it a little while ago. The capacity to really be natural, to make jokes, to live lively, the capacity to share with one another whatever we have, although sometimes I can say, this is mine, don't take it away. And to have my ego, my capacity to fall down, stand up, and keep on playing.
It would seem as they become adults, they have more issues and more problems than they were when they were children.
Because they decided to obey Paul. Don't act like children. And we forget that we have a creativity, that we have the capacity to have fantasies. That's fantastic. That we can be creative, that we can express our emotions, but we don't express our emotions because of the fears of rejection. Or because, I cannot say that because I'm going to offend the other person. And then you're offending yourself because the other person will never know how you feel if you don't tell her. Be like children. I love being like children. It expresses my creativity.
We've got time for maybe a couple more questions before the comment period.
Yeah, I'd like to, I don't know if this is too personal a question.
Nothing is personal
for you. But have you spoken to God or interacted with God or felt the presence of God in such a numinous way or transcendent way that you knew that that's what was going on? You were sort of in awe?
Yes. I cannot say it is God, but I know that is a energy. Because for me, God is not this. It is. I cannot put a shape. I cannot put a form. I cannot materialize God. It is a feeling. It is a goosebump.
So as an extension of that, would you say that everybody, all of us, potentially are capable of interaction with a God, if not the God?
If we believe that we have been created by God, then we are God we have everything that God is without being God. You are your mother and your father, but you are not your mother and your father. You are you. And if you were created by Spirit, then you have everything that the Spirit is. But you cannot be the totality of the Spirit, because then where do I stay? What happened with me?
So you believe you have a soul?
Yes.
And that we all have a soul? Each of us?
Yes.
And
we are Spirit.
And that soul is the place where we interact with God?
We interact with God through our feelings. Not through the soul, with our feelings, our belief system. What you believe, what you surrender of you interact with God because of your humility. And humility for me is being able to stretch out the hand and say, please help me out. It's not bending all the way down until my back is seen. And I am dealing with God when I have the capacity of loving myself. And for me, loving myself is a limitless of opportunities that I have to banish my ego. The one that is detecting myself that, oh no, you cannot believe that. That bishop there, what he's saying? Oh, no. They didn't taught you that in church. Remember. Oh, no, you are not capable of doing that. Remember that mom and dad always were saying to you that you're good for nothing. No? My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
So it's about 8 o'clock. I'd like to just get a head count for how many people would like to speak. 1, 2. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Let's give a great big hand for our speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now it's your turn. Who would like to be first? We are going to have a little timer. You heard the crystal thing go off a minute ago. I'll set it for 5 minutes when you start, and just gently remind you that, give the next person a chance. You don't have to speak for 5 minutes. You can speak for 5 seconds.
This subject is very broad. It's very difficult to know where to begin. I've had so many thoughts just sitting here. When it comes to the issues of life and death, I firmly believe thou shalt not kill. And none of us knows when the entity, so to speak, enters the fetus. But I think all of us know that long before it's born, it's a living human being. And when Scott Peterson out in San Francisco was convicted of a double murder for killing his pregnant wife, and then we allow all these abortions. Is that not a double standard that we have not come close to resolving? And I'm not trying to be judgmental with that either. Shakespeare wrote, "Sweet are the uses of adversity." I have a friend here in Dallas who I went to high school and college with. And he would wake up every morning just joyful. He'd been that way all his life. He played football and so forth. I mean, his whole life was joyful. Well, he married and had a son, and his son was in a horrible motorcycle accident and paralyzed from the neck down. And the doctors urged him and his wife to let him go. But Roger said, "No, that's not right." Roger, all these years, has been nursing his son. His son cannot do anything for himself. He feeds him, he bathes him, he takes care of him, and every day he makes him laugh. He gives joy to that son. And Roger loves doing it. I mean, he's an incredible individual. He has taken the worst of adversity and made the best character in himself, out of himself, that he could. And every adverse circumstance can be our greatest benefit if we will take it and use it and go right straight through the middle of all of those difficult feelings and build character with it. The whole concept of courage has no meaning without fear to overcome. Courage is measured by the fear that it does overcome. Strength by the weakness it overcomes. The human experience is not for us to just be happy here and enjoy it. This is like a school, and it's a tough, hard grind in a lot of ways. But when you rejoice that you are created in the image and likeness of the Creator, regardless of what the material picture appears to mesmerically project into your consciousness to be it, then you can go far beyond what the human appears to be. I have long contended that thinking is an indispensable tool that we have, and it is only a tool because you can control it. Therefore, it's a tool. But more often than not, it is in the way. And if you want spiritual development, you have to stop thinking and discipline yourself to ease it out of consciousness and listen. And that's where you will find the kingdom within. The symbol to me of the temple is for human consciousness, with the staunch pillars at the door to guard the entry of what you're going to let into that consciousness. And when Jesus threw the money changers out of the temple, symbolically to me, he was throwing gross materialism out of human consciousness, symbolically. In Genesis, it says that God said, "And let there be light." Now, the Creator is letting there be light. The Creator has been here in all eternity, so there's always been light. To me, that means in your own consciousness, cleanse the windows, cleanse the temple, and let the light in. Because it's always there for us, but we block it, and we block it with materialism. I look at the Bible totally differently from most people that I know. To me, it is in 3 clear sections. And the first one is very short. It's basically Genesis 1, and it gets up to a point where it says, "And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good." Period. That's creation. Now, next verse, or a couple of verses after, "But a mist went up from the earth, from the ground, and watered the whole face of the earth." Period. You ever hear theologians or preachers talk about that? To me, that is the most important dividing line in the whole book. Because at that point, you have a complete story of creation. Have I gone 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's incredible. In any event, let me just go a little bit beyond. In any event, the next verse is no longer addressing God, it is the Lord God. And then we have a whole reiteration of creation in a material form, which is the illusion under which we live. And when we pray for healing, we pray wrong if we want something changed that is real. What we need to pray for is to see that which has always been, the perfect spiritual image and likeness of God in complete harmony. And can I have one more little time here? I'm going to give you one experience. I grew up with a grandmother who was a healer. And I never knew a doctor. None of our family did. Her children, her grandchildren, we'd all just call Nana, and a short time later, that'd be the end of it. In college, I separated a shoulder badly. It was deformed. You could see it. I had it in a sling. It was painful. I called Nana, and 3 days later, I was back in pads on the football field. Jesus stated to his disciples, speaking of mankind and all history, "And the works that I do, they shall do also, and greater works than these shall they do, because I go unto my Father." And he also said, "Judge me not by my words, but by my works." And I don't go anywhere on Sunday where I listen to a preacher. I don't want to hear a man rattling on about what he's been taught academically in a school of theology, many of which there are, and they're all saying the rest of you are going to go to hell. So I guess all of humanity will go to hell under that standard. But we should be striving to cleanse our consciousness of the mist that went up from the earth and watered from the ground and watered the face of the earth, to spiritualize our consciousness constantly, to become in touch with the presence of God. That has saved my life on 2 different occasions, and on one of them saved 3 lives, by listening for the presence of God. And there's nothing greater that one can do than that. And in the most difficult of circumstances, that's where it is our obligation to take all of the emotions and move them out of consciousness and think clearly and logically and listen for guidance. My high school and college football coach went into that profession because in World War II he was in the infantry in Germany, and he was assigned, he was from Arkansas, and there was a black man from Arkansas in his troop, and the 2 of them were assigned to go out down a trail in a forest in Germany. It was after the invasion, and they were walking patrol, and they were ambushed, machine gun fire on both sides. His friend fell out in the open having been hit. He fell down behind a log, and he saw that as fast as that log was being chewed away by those machine gun bullets, he had about 2 minutes left to live. He pushed all of that out of his mind immediately and turned to the presence of God and heard a voice clearly that said, "Go pick up your friend and take him out of here." He, in the middle of this hail of bullets, he got up, he went over and threw his friend over his shoulder and took him out of there. And Jim was never hit and his friend was not hit again, and they both survived. I could tell you so many tales like this. There's nothing stronger than the very presence of God right now here with you if you're quiet enough to listen. And that's, I couldn't think of anything better to say.
I always have problems with these mics, but hopefully this will come through really well. Yeah, Mike's got problems with mics. Every time the subject of God is brought up, people have feelings about it. It's usually negative or positive. Anthropomorphism. Anybody know what the term means? Yes. People have projected God either through fear or anger. God's this God on this throne. He's going to do all these bad things to people. Well, the children. I was going back to the children thing. Jesus is always referring to the children. Children don't have these kind of anthropomorphic issues. They see it as it is. They see, the person there, that's what they see. They're not going to project, it's your perspective, And so there's an innocence to it. It's genuine. The problem I have with a lot of religion today, it's not very genuine. It's false. It's not from the heart. And really, I think that's where Jesus was trying to push towards. But the anthropomorphism of projecting God as this tyrant, and either that or whatever thing you project out there, everybody's got their own version of God. There's no Bible that confines that definition of who God is. Everybody's got a different version, but because of their experiences in life. But hopefully, I tend, myself personally, I like to look at life from a spiritual standpoint, not from a religious standpoint. That bridges all the gaps of all the religions out there. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's interesting if you look in the Bible, one of the greatest people in the Bible is considered Rahab the harlot. She was the one who was getting involved in all the bad stuff out there. So it's not the people who you think are doing all the good things that are necessarily the most spiritual either. It's all perception, but I think it's from the heart. And I think that God, if you want to say who is God, God is from the heart and heart. And every person knows within themselves that place, and everybody has that ability, like all children do. And if a person wants to find the kingdom of heaven, whatever that heaven may be, and I believe it can be right here on earth, you can bring it with you. It's in this heart, and that's where you're going to find it. I'm just putting out a little opinion here.
Who's next?
Well, I will answer one of my own questions here. I don't think the Anglo-American capitalist system, as it's evolved, has any connection with Christianity at all. For example, the other night I saw a program. It's you can see it on YouTube, Panorama from BBC, and they showed the workings of Amazon in England. And apparently Amazon has about 6 big warehouses in England. And so they sent an individual in, a young chap, very, very fit, to work in this warehouse. So the way it operates is he is given a time machine and told to go pick up an object. And it might give him 40 seconds. So he has actually walking and indeed running to pick up this item. He comes back, has another item. And he's doing this for 10 hours a day, for minimum. People are being used and abused in a most disgusting manner. And I'm just sickened to the stomach when I see this, treating people as pack animals, nothing more. Now, this is the unacceptable face of capitalism, as is. Now, that is not any semblance to what I learned Christianity to be, where you love one another, you help one another. This system that's evolved is just mean, greedy, and it really is self-destructive. And so what I would say to religious people is, for God's sake, and get up and decry this system, where you see these immoral things going on, and I truly believe they are immoral, based on my beliefs and my moral values. I couldn't possibly manage a system like this. It's just, I find it disgusting. I really do. And so I think if all these preachers and all these other people have any sense of moral values, it's time they got up and said, no, look, this is not acceptable in our country. You can't use our people like this. You can't use people as pack animals. And the other thing I'd say, it's not working. The damn thing is not. If it were wonderfully working, it's not. I think most people here recognize there's a strong malaise in this country. It's almost as if the most evil force possible has taken over. And I think it's time, and what I'd say to all religious entities, look, get together and speak up for a change. Don't passively sit there and do nothing, because that's really what's going on. Yes, come to church, get on your knees, do this, do that, do the other, but really, in my judgment, that's not the major point. The major point is to heal this nation, I think.
So, multitasking. I came across something rather interesting on Facebook that just coincidentally seems to fit our discussion here. And maybe it's going to change a perspective here or there. For Christians who decry illegal aliens and yet forget that their ancestor was a wandering Aramaean, we pray. Wandering Jew, get it? Another thing that I thought was interesting, the same person posted something about having known the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. And when this young man was raised, he got to spend a few years with his grandfather, who told him that every day you should wake up, and if you're about to conduct yourself in a certain way, ask, is this helping or harming someone else? Is this action that I'm about to take going to harm someone or help someone? And that makes your decision process very easy and clear. If you truly believe that all people have value, forgive me, that was the timer from the talk before, that all people have value, harm them or help them. Let that guide your conscience. Let that guide your action. Now, a little deeper on that subject, sometimes we don't know. We can be very well-meaning and believe that we're helping to save another person from destruction. And that reminds me of the little story that goes around where, somebody sees a cocoon opening up and tries to help the butterfly get out of the cocoon. It's struggling to try to get out. And what emerges, because they crack open the cocoon, is this partially withered butterfly that will never, ever actually be able to fly because they helped it. In the struggle that the butterfly endures to break itself out of the cocoon, that actually gets the fluid pumping to all of its organs, and it allows the wings to unfurl. So, when you're thinking in terms of am I helping or harming someone else, the question is, am I giving a hand up to help someone raise themselves up to a different level, or am I giving a hand out? Okay, so a lot of people over the years have accused me of being a bleeding heart liberal. And I will say, sometimes my heart does bleed for people. A lot of the time my heart bleeds for people who really don't understand that we all have value, regardless of our circumstances, and that some people literally cannot lift themselves up without some assistance. The key is to getting that assistance correctly into their lives. And I believe that until we value the investment in education, the investment in true education, that we have many, many steps to go. I'll stop now and I'll invite the next person to come up and talk. Who's next?
In the early days of the church, 1,000 years before the Great Schism, in which the Church of Rome broke from Eastern Orthodoxy, all things were held common. All goods were physically laid at the feet of the apostles. This is in the biblical Acts of the Apostles, and they were distributed according to need. There were no central committees, no Politburo, no 5-year plan, no Stalinism, no Federal Reserve, no central banks, no commissars, no Stalinist purges. And this went on for 250 years amid bone-crushing persecution parceled out by the Roman Empire. And then when Constantine became emperor, he had some kind of a conversion, and he decided to become a Christian himself. And so he co-opted the church. And there were a number of people who were known as the Desert Fathers who felt that the church was being corrupted, who felt that Roman materialism was contaminating it. And so they went out into the Egyptian desert and lived out there in the desert as what are called anchorites, which are solitary monks. And conversely, an anchoress is a solitary nun. None of these live as part of any community. And then St. Anthony of Egypt, recognized both by the Orthodox Church and the Roman Church as a saint, organized all these anchorites into a community. And once again, they held all things common. They were some of the happiest folks who walked the face of the earth. And so that was the birth of the monastic orders as we know them. And the Orthodox Church has them, the Roman Church has them, the Anglican Communion, which is my church, has them, and the Buddhist religion has orders of monks and nuns, and the Hindu religion has itinerant, what we would call anchorites, who travel about and who just live off the land. And so this is not restricted to Christianity or restricted to even the Abrahamic tradition, since it's found in the reincarnative religions as well. And this is very much what the saints and the apostles envisioned, and the individuals whom Bishop Raphael was speaking about, was railing about, and rightfully so, have completely strayed from that. And where they came from is they were poorly converted Teutonic pagans. They never completely let go of Wotan, Thor, Fricka, etc. They just sort of took on very superficially the church because it had been the last official state religion of Rome, and they wanted to codify themselves as Rome's successors. So they never believed the good news of the poor, whom some others have alluded to, and they never will. And so the problems that Bishop Raphael has pointed out pretty much stem from that these people, even though they claim they're literalists and they claim they're the only way, they really are dead wrong. And as far as eternal perfidy, what I believe is that these perpetrators themselves are the ones who are going to burn for all eternity. Why? To keep the rest of us safe in the hereafter, safe from molestation, safe from abuse that so many of the poor and the people who advocate for them were subjected to here on earth. That it's kind of a Department of Homeland Security for the vast majority of us who have been the victims of the ones whom Bishop Raphael has railed about. Thank you.
I do have one on my way out.
She promised not to use that cane on anyone.
Yeah.
We don't need a cane tonight.
No, I do have a question though. If you believe in divine intervention, okay, the question is, how does God decide to intervene? I mean, does he intervene in a situation like he described and not intervene in the Holocaust? And how you know, that's the question I had.
So if there are no more remarks or rebuttals, I'd like to invite our speaker back up here to respond to your questions and your comments.
And that God gave us all God's hard act of creation.
The answer is very simple. God does not intervene. God does not intervene. He pushes other people and motivates other people to bring attention to whatever might be going that you need assistance or direction with. God's mission is creation. That is God's mission, creation. He's creator. And then if we believe what Jesus said, that I'm going to send another one to be the consolator, to be the one that is going to help, that is the guy that is doing all the work today. He's the one that is doing all the work. He's the one that is giving all the inspirations and everything. But no, God doesn't intervene. That's why free will. If it was going to be intervention, why do I want free will for? Do this, do that, do this, do that. You see, there is no need for free will. If he is intervening. Yeah. The thing is that we lose for perspective is that Jesus comes to reform the Jewish tradition, the Jewish beliefs, to what they should have been. And everything was done into that circumstance for them, that the apostles then decided to move out and start speaking, like Paul, that came later. And that Paul's writings were, even before the Gospels were written. And he decided to start moving in that direction because of the spiritual encounter that he had. That spiritual manifestation that is presented in the Bible, that was a physical one that Jesus presented right there and said, "Why do you persecute me?" It was a spiritual encounter, it was a spiritual revelation at that moment. Being more specific regarding a question that he asked me about my own spiritual encounters, well, I have the most beautiful one that I had in my life was a spiritual encounter with a tree. With a tree. And I was in my house in Aguafuenas up in the mountain where I lived. And I said, "God, I know your name. I want an interpretation of your name. I need to understand more your name." So all of a sudden I was invited just to go to this oak tree, a very skinny one. And I just hugged the tree right there. And I hugged the tree. And the funny thing is that the tree slain me in the spirit right there. He just pushed me back and there I went on the floor. And And then at that moment I understood one thing, that He is everywhere. And that I am not alone. And that creation is everything. And that the manifestation of the Spirit is in every place in different levels. And everything that has a life has an auric body. And has an energy that moves out and you can sense it. It is like when you're going down the street and all of a sudden you look at someone and say, oh, I don't like to go, and you move over. And you cross the street to the other side and you keep walking but still looking. And you keep walking and go past. And if I look into the Eastern traditions to identify that, how that happens, it is because of our energetic or vortices that are called chakras. And your plexus chakras, your third chakra, is the one that communicates with your chakra and knows more or less your intentions. Beside your angels and your guidance, and you have your angels and your guidance. And if we don't believe in angels and we don't believe in guidance, so the transfiguration was a force. A lady once asked me, do you believe that the people that is dead go to sleep? Are sleeping? And I said, Mommy, if you believe that, just believe that. That is okay with you. No, you have to answer me. I said, okay. So do you know the story of the Transfiguration? And he said, yes. Who was there? Jesus, Moses, Elias. And I asked her, were they sleeping? So that revelation right there let us know that there is another dimension. That there is another dimension. And sometimes we are not able to let go. And I have to speak about my oldest daughter. She's now about 47. She decided to put her life down the drain. And she's still living down the drain. Have I tried to help her? Yes. Has she wanted to receive help? No. Have I respected her decision? Yes. Would I like to see her change? Yes. Am I ashamed of her? No. I still love her, but it's her life. That is her choice. In the Hindu traditions or in the Eastern tradition, that is her karma. That is the experience she has to go through life. It is like your friend and the son that is sick. That is the experience both of them have to go through life. Who is teaching who? Oh, I don't know. But I decided to let go. And once I let go, I felt very good. And I was released of that burden. Not that I quit being compassionate, not that I quit being caring, but I quit being selfish. And let her live her life. Not my way, but her way. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming tonight. Excellent talk. Really appreciate it. Let's give our speaker another big hand for being here. We need to be out of here by 8:45. So what I'd ask is that if you'd like to continue the conversation, we carry that on at Starbucks right up the street. Please do come join us if you'd like to. And if not, we wish you well. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
This is William, your videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please leave comments below, or like us or follow us and get notices of all our videos. We love it even when you call. So when visiting the Barbeck's restaurant, tell them you want your reservation to the next College of Complex class.